Welcome to this week's episode of Esports Wrap. I'm your host, Michael Amargon. And this week we're going to be talking about toxicity in gaming. More specifically, what it is and what you can do about it, both from in case you find yourself being the person that's being toxic, or you have someone inside your group that is toxic. Let's actually get into it. And I think the best way to do that is to actually explain what I mean by toxicity in gaming. And it's typically that situation where you may be gaming and someone is doing something that is meaningfully upsetting people. They're much like a troll when it comes to online vocabulary, vernacular. These people are persons that just let rage take over, in a sense. And most of what they do is upsetting to most people, or at least to a good chunk of persons. And this can range anywhere from teabagging someone, which, for those that are unaware, teabagging is when you've taken down an opponent, you will then squat up and down over their face. Most times people are still able to see them do this, especially since you were able to see who took you down for a few moments. They'll do this and then, use some emotes or say something along the lines. There are games that don't allow them to say anything at all, so the most that they'll do is squat up and down above your head to upset you. And this can sometimes be fun in games, and so you just go after that person, and it just becomes like almost like a vendetta kind of thing. You teabag me, I'm gonna kick your butt kind of situation. That's happened a number of times to my friends and I, and so we'll go and get our revenge on that person, and it doesn't go further than that. There are times, however, where it can, and this can be where it starts to get into the darker side of things. And this can be things along the lines of calling someone a scrub, calling someone a noob. These are sometimes hurtful things, especially when someone is just new to the game and trying to do their best, and sometimes they may need a little bit of guidance. Now, it kind of goes along with that whole thing of, if you want to see someone improve, or you want someone to improve, you don't just yell at them. You try to give them pointers and guiding them to actually become a better player, so that you don't have to go against people like that, or you can actually have a better community, that kind of thing. But these people aren't those people. These people let, like I said, their rage come out, and that's where things tend to not go so well for them. So they will spout profanity. They'll continuously harass someone. They may say racist things, and the list can go on. People have gotten to the point where they have I will go back a few years where someone actually there was this thing where you would call the SWAT team on someone. It's called swatting, and this is a form of toxicity inside gaming. You would SWAT someone who's in a game, and so the SWAT team would end up at their house, busting down their door and causing a bunch of commotion. Now, recently, well, I shouldn't say recently, but about a year or two ago, someone swatted someone, and it ended up with that person being shot and killed by the SWAT team. They were a little bit overzealous in their actions, and the person died. Because of this, it made national news, and now that person is facing, the person who called the SWAT is facing a life sentence, I believe. And this is because of something that they really didn't need to do. They did it for because they thought they could get away with it, and because that was something that people sometimes did, which is not okay. Just because other people did something doesn't mean it's okay. Now, we can take a step down from that, and swatting admittedly has gone down after that incident because people are now afraid of something similar happening. Which it honestly should never have gotten to that point. We also have people who dox people, so doxing is pretty much where they get your information and then publish it on the internet. So let's say if you went by a pseudonym or an alias. So for example, More Cookies. Then they would try to find out as much information about More Cookies to then find out who the person's real name is, which would be, Michael Amagan, and so on and so forth, and then publish that information online. Sometimes that's hurtful, sometimes it's not. It depends on how deep they go. There have been cases years and years and years ago where people got as far as to find out people's credit card information, so on and so forth, but typically the worst it's ever gotten, in the States at least, is that they find your physical address, which in itself is bad enough. Here in some, like the Bahamas, it's a little bit harder. We don't have physical addresses just out there like that. We have PO boxes, and that's how we get our mail. So you want our mailing address, it's a PO box. That's just how we roll down here. And so for places like this, the most you'll get is a name, and then if you scroll through maybe Facebook or something like that, maybe where we work, depending on how we have that information set up, and essentially what all you put on social media. That's the length of what doxing really takes nowadays. But let's go back to another part, and this is something that happens more so when it comes to sorry, one second. This is something that happens more so when it comes to dealing with online persons that just are hateful beings. And when I say hateful beings, I mean the simple thing of these persons want to try and upset you. They just may have hate in their heart, and they let that out by doing whatever they can to try and upset you, and then they get their little giddies off from that, which is kind of weird in its own right. I don't always get it, but let's go through some examples as to how you can maybe figure out if you are a troll, and then what we can do to maybe take some steps from there. I know yesterday I saw someone that was upset that they couldn't curse somewhere, and when I went on that person's stream, sure enough, there was a load of cursing. And I'm not going to say their name or berate them. It's just, that's how certain people are. Hey, chill. Well, I mean, if you want to, if you're ready and available, we can, you can jump on Discord and we can finish this up. But, yeah, so here are some examples of if you are a toxic gamer. Right, so the first one, like I mentioned, is extreme cursing. So this is the type of person that is consistently cursing on and typing in chat, you effing suck, this, that, and the next, so on and so forth. Most games nowadays allow you to ban persons like this, or at least block them, so that you don't have to be exposed to something like that. And that's something that I think a lot of people really need to okay, sorry, chill. It's saying you're offline, so you may want to just deal with that and hop on. But yeah, so you don't always have to be exposed to this kind of stuff. So if you see someone say it once or twice, you can maybe let that go. A lot of chats actually nowadays have them filtered out so that you don't really see what they say. It may asterisk itself out and censor it. There are Discords that will actually have bots that filter in that kind of stuff. Well, filter out that kind of stuff and like delete it automatically and warn the person about it. I know I have that in my chats, which, is just as a means to make sure that people don't abuse the system. There are specific words that I will still let through, but the heavier ones I will not allow. That said, if you are also insulting either the person or family or loved ones, yeah, you're probably toxic. You should never really be insulting another player unless it's been pure jest and they know that you're joking and they are okay with it. And it's just like friendly banter between you two or whoever else is inside. There's also the whining element, and this can go several different ways. More so that, you have persons that, oh boy, the game, if they died or whatever, it's never their fault. They're going to say, oh, it's the controller, oh, it's the PS4, or whatever console it is. Oh, the game was lagging, my internet sucks, my aim was off, this, that, and the next. They never take responsibility for them just needing to be a better player. In their eyes, they're the best that they are. That's the best that they could have done, and they won't hear anything else about it. They won't even hear helpful suggestions on how to become better. This is different than someone, for example, who may have a heart. Let's say that they keep getting caught up in a combo. For example, let's say a fighting game. They keep getting caught up in a combo with that. And they are legitimately trying to get away or block or something like that. And then you have someone in the background is like saying, you need to block, you need to dodge, you need to this, that, and the next. And while they themselves are not a toxic player, they're a toxic audience, and I guess in some ways. And that's accepted to some degree, but at the same point, the person's still trying. Now, it gets worse if the person you're playing against is the one that's doing it to you, and they're intentionally doing it to try and upset you and get in your head. We see that sometimes happening in tournaments where, and that's where a certain level of respect has to come into play. And, there are tournaments that says, none of that. Like, if you want to talk to one another during the thing, be respectful. There have been situations where opponents would actually help coach the other person as they're playing. So they'll be like, hey, guy, you need to actually start, when you see me doing this, like, you need to be quicker on learning to block it, that kind of thing. You'll also find it where healers, healers, especially in MMORPGs, they go through a lot. And from the DPS, or the damage per second side, or the tank side, the people who are getting the most damage, at least they should be, they would be saying that healers aren't healing them well, they're not fast enough with it, it's this, that, and the next. And sometimes the healers are actually doing their best, but people just suck at dodging things or not doing what they should be doing themselves. And so that has now gotten a number of healers, which, is the lifeblood of any raid comp, to stop healing people. And that just makes things worse. Because let's say someone is consistently standing in something that they shouldn't, or they are consistently where they should not be on a whole, and let's say in front of a boss that's supposed to be turned away from the rest of the group, then the healer is probably going to stop healing them and just focus on everyone else, because everyone else is doing what they're supposed to be doing. This guy is just doing what they're not, and so they die. And there goes in the whole thing of, if you're dead, you can't do damage, and if you can't do damage, you're of no use to the rest of the group. And so it's that's another aspect of toxic gaming. There's also campers. These are the people that will kill you in game and find where you spawn. And then once they find you, they kill you again. There are a number of games that have done several different ways about this. They will, let's say if you have to go back or you spawn back in a particular place, they will either make it so that you can either spawn at that place or spawn at a different place. So sometimes games have you run back to your body. In World of Warcraft, they sometimes place these camp zones far enough away and in a more abstract location where people are less inclined to go and try to attack you. Plus, it gives them they would have quite literally run there to go and find you. Um, there are also other aspects of it, like if you talk down to your teammates. I kind of talked about this one about the excessive cursing, but sometimes this also happens to people on your own team, where Call of Duty was one of the games that got a really bad rap back in the day because of kids going on there and like just going off on voice chat. And that's another thing. For a number of games, voice chat has simply become a toxic thing. And so a lot of people either turn off their headsets or turn off voice chat and just keep their headsets on to listen to what's happening around them. But, sometimes it's just a situation where you're trying your best and you may just be learning a particular character. Let's use Overwatch as an example. Before they actually started the current system that they have with Overwatch, and this is like a number of years back, if you did not play exceedingly well with a particular character, you were berated harshly. They said, get off, you suck at this game. They would ban you so they never play with you again, this kind of thing. And it doesn't have to be someone's trolling the group. It just, could be that they simply weren't as good as people were hoping. But that's the next thing. You have the casual side of things, and then you have the ranked side of things. Ranked, that's where you do not see people being so friendly with this kind of thing. If you're in ranked and you are doing foolishness, you are more than likely going to get cussed. Or, said you need to pick a different character, something along those lines. Sup, Chill?
Well, hello. I've arrived yet again. How are y'all
Back
doing?
to the stream. Doing good, man.
Hey. Toxicity.
Yeah. This
My
is
favorite topic.
Really now, your favorite topic.
Yeah.
Why is this your favorite topic?
I don't know. Toxicity has... I think it's definitely a new era of gaming thing, because when I was growing up, when we were playing in the lobbies, when we had the first chat lobbies in World War, all the way to Modern Warfare 2 and Halo 3, that was more of competitive, you know what I mean? Like, just, they still say some harsh stuff, but that's where we learn. And I felt probably 5 to 10 years later, everything is crazy. Like, but see, the problem is there's a fine line. Just because, like, say if me and you playing, sparring, and I'd be like, hey, Michael is trash, they'll call that toxic. But they don't. The new generation of gamers don't know the difference between competitive talk and toxicity.
Yep.
Toxicity, I feel, is a person, like, for example, League of Legends. You run down mid. You don't care if you're having a good day or bad day. You know what I mean? You going down that lane. I don't care. I don't feel like toxicity is much in fighting games, other than teabagging. But that's just that's the FGC. I feel like toxicity was born, probably, I have to agree with you, in MMORPGs before MOBAs came out, because that's when it started. If you was a tank and you wasn't doing your job, taking the blows for your assassins and healers, you were ridiculed. And I feel like everyone always talked down on the healers. Now that's toxic.
Well, yeah, that's what I was just. Yeah, Aiko, we're on toxicity.
Yeah.
But yeah, I was just talking about the healers and stuff like that, and like how they've got it bad, especially from back in the day.
I mean, I understand where you're coming from, but I'm a support main in majority of the games. You know what I mean? For Overwatch, I got MOAR, Bridget. For League of Legends, I got Leona, and they don't even like acknowledge you. They're like, why are you even in my lane? Wow. Help the supports, please. You know what I mean? Like, give respect to the support mains. Like, we work hard to cover for your mistakes. But yeah, I mean, I do have to agree. Healers, man, we get the blunt of everything. Everything.
I mean, if it wipes, then it's on you.
Yeah,
that's what people say.
I mean?
Disregard the fact that the the new tank turned the boss towards everyone and wiped everyone. It's because you
Yeah.
couldn't keep everyone up.
Yep, and that's what it is. But they don't realize that we're the persons who cover up for the everyone's else mistakes. Or tanks took too much damage, wasn't able to CC the boss correctly, healing. Assassins went a little too deep. They're done. You know what I mean? They're very squishy, and so I felt. But this is a really interesting question. Where do you feel toxicity like came in? What year? Oh,
Oh,
say we're talking about League. Oh, don't get me wrong, dude. League made me into a toxic person. Like that rank.
League
I mean,
can get you toxic.
yeah, casual. Casual was different from back in the day to now. Everyone is just like try hard and casual because esports is growing and stuff, which I really really like. But ranked has gotten even worse across all games. Every single ranked game I've probably touched, people are just like, whoa, like relax, you know what I mean? We trying to have, yeah. I like I said, Icon. Casual is even toxic.
Yep.
And it's just you could come in the game, right? So it's your first time, probably let's use you League, for example, because that's the general game everyone basically plays, ties people some type of way.
Most MOBAs,
Yeah,
Dota's
most
don't
MOBAs.
most Dota's included inside that, folks. Don't think it Dota isn't.
Oh yeah, don't get me wrong.
StarCraft is included inside that.
Oh yeah. I mean, but who could you be toxic to in StarCraft?
Your teammate, well, depending on how you do it, because you can't have teams.
Yeah, you can have teams, and that's kind of annoying. But for League specifically, ranked, because see now that it's seen as a career, people are more tilted and the pressure's on, and people break off of pressure. There's so many games I probably lost because the whole team just mentally was not stable, and the toxicity. Don't even let the opposite team say you're trash. It's over. AFK 0-12. I'm out of this game. See ya. And it's unfortunate that. I mean, it's unfortunate that some people are like that. Not everyone is strong-willed when it comes to gaming, because gaming is hard, man. It's serious. Heroes of the Storm.
I actually enjoyed Heroes of the Storm.
I actually liked the community a lot.
But
for Heroes of the Storm,
I will say this: there are toxic people there as well. Pretty much, you're gonna find toxic people almost anywhere.
But the winner, like if there was a toxicity award for any game,
it's probably League.
It's
probably League.
Take this, please take that trophy and just put up there. Like that would be. See, my thing is, if they had an award like that, it would be funny, but it'd also tell the game producers like Riot to be like, step your game up, make sure why is your game so toxic. I feel like that trophy should be awarded to specifically for people to get their stuff together, because it kills the enjoyment. Because we've been playing game for probably 20 years. What about the people who in their 20s or 15 18 years old just want to try games out? They can't even come in because the skill gap is so great, and then nobody got time to teach anyone.
Well, I mean, games like League have also been trying to do their best at curbing the toxicity. Look at Overwatch. They introduced their
Oh, I know what you're talking about.
Yes. Why is this not hitting my head? It's pretty much where you can give an award of sorts to say like, call shotter, good teammate, this kind of thing.
Is it applause points? No.
No.
This is terminology. But to be honest,
I don't remember.
Ever since they brought that in, that totally changed the game.
It did.
Overwatch. I can jump on the rank and, see, other than getting a rank for the ranked mode, there's no other way to feel, that your team appreciates you. And that makes a big difference. I feel like Riot should also implement that to save their game.
They kind of have. And it's something like honor. It's something like an honor system. They use a different terminology for it, though.
I think it's best team player, leadership. Friendly.
Leadership. Which one are you talking about? League or Overwatch?
League
okay,
is
yeah.
Leadership, friendly, team player. I think that's it.
Yes, that's what I mean, Viper. Endorsements to endorse a
Yes.
player.
How can we not remember endorsements? Oh yeah, you're right. You're right about this. But I just loved the fact that Overwatch implemented that. That totally changed it because I really love Overwatch. Overwatch is a
Yes,
great game,
that's
but the
another one.
community I
Tilt proof for
felt was
League.
a lot of the people from League and other FPS was probably coming to Overwatch, and that's why I felt the whole toxicity train started. But other than that, Overwatch has been such a strong game. Like the community kind of changed a lot. It was so good in the beginning. Like probably year 1.5, that was beautiful. But after
Yep.
two, now they start having the E League. You know,
You mean
they
the
have big
owl?
teams. Yeah,
Yeah. Um, but I mean, I would say is probably around that time for Overwatch, but Toxicity on a whole has been around for a long time. I would dare
yeah.
say from like early 2000s, if not the 90s.
I could definitely agree on that one.
Just
But it
because
was
of
different.
how well, yeah, it was different, but people still okay. So let's use this example of Toxicity. People quitting when they're losing. That's a
Toxic.
form of toxic, and that happened even before. Like that happened back in arcade times when
Oh
they
yeah, with
get
them
their
quarters.
butts kicked. They just say, slam down their hands on it, say screw it, and walk away.
Hell yeah! I mean, I would quit too if I get styled on in the front of the whole arcade, area. Back in the day, that was it. You know what I mean? And you get stunned on by this random kid. Oh, I made a guy kind of rage quit, so I understand. I mean, I would rage too, but it's no reason for that. So we can probably say, what are the how to say this? Probably the top 5 reasons people are toxic. Um, Something have to be going on in their life. One, two, they're probably mad at themselves, but they don't know how to bring it out. Because I'm the type of person who gets mad when I don't do good, but I don't get toxic towards other people. I get more toxic, you know what I mean? Like I get competitive with the enemy team. I'm the person talking mad crap to the other team. That's how I am. But people might see that as toxic as well.
That
But I'm just
is.
a competitive person.
Um, the whole thing is, if you are like being really abusive towards someone, that's toxic. Now if you're saying something like, you need to do this better, then that's borderline because they could be trying that and trying their best, but at the same point, that's kind of where it needs to be like, where is the borderline between trying to help someone and then just like being that jackass who's just thinks he's a know-it-all kind of situation.
That's a really hard line because everything is considered toxic. Like for example, so say if I was playing a ranked game and top laner goes 0-4, and I'd be like, hey, top laner, just build tank, sit back, play by tower. I'm not commanding you. I'm not like saying any type of way to, make you feel worse about yourself. I'm just saying, yo, hold out. I could try to get strong in my lane. I'm gonna come up there and probably come help when laning phase is over. But as soon as you say that, there's just like, you're toxic. I'm about to feed mute. It's just like, come on. Like, you're trying to help this person by giving them advice, but that's considered toxicity. So that's where this word has to be remodified, and we need to figure out, like you said, the fine line. Because
Well,
it's everyone is calling anything toxic. As soon as you be like, hey, first blood, I'm a jungler. For example, when I was a jungler, he died first blood. I said, hey, I'm about to come that way. Just hold out. Just the fact that I mentioned first blood, toxic. What? So he runs down and dies 5 times, and that was the end of the game. What am I supposed to do to
I
that?
think in that one it's more so because like you called him out on his death, which is it's kind of like a little bit of a dick move to do.
But as a jungler, you're trying to like say, all right, relax so I can be able to get you ahead. So it's like walking on eggshells. Like that's gonna just break at any moment.
Yeah,
But my biggest issue with that is that I don't like the fact that the gaming community is becoming more emotional. It's too emotional for me because now it just sounds like any other social media gag, you know what I mean? like feminism or between sexes or political views. This should never be in gaming. Gaming is supposed to be free spirited, be who you are. You know what I mean? Like you could be like Tyler One, or you could be like one of the quiet streamers. You know what I mean? Like Shroud is a beast, but he don't say much. You
Yep.
could be whatever you want to be, and I don't think there's any restrictions on a toxic person, but it's getting bad. We just can't find the line because everybody's just thrown in that category, and we really have to figure out what is
Well,
toxicity.
I mean, there are some pretty clear-cut ones. So, for example, you lose a match and then you try to add that person or send them messages and start to say like, "You suck," or "I," this, that, and the next. Like I'm using that as a baseline phrase, but people go hard on some of these messages that they send,
Especially when
and
they lose? My God.
especially when they lose, or if they're a sore winner, and like they just want to call you trash.
Yo, I mean, I don't know how trash wins, but
Um,
the logic breaks at that point.
Then you have
So okay,
ones like griefers, for example.
yeah.
Like, they're the ones that like insistently harass and provoke people. Like that's their entire thing. Like they are the trolls.
I would say borderline trolls because I harass. Because my thing is, remember when I was telling you about I'm my competitive towards the other team. I don't fight internally. I deal with the external problem. So at that point, you mess with their mental, and they don't even realize that. But I like the fact that you brought as harassment. It is. It's for sure harassment.
Okay,
But
so
like for example, there's a lot of things in gaming where people can say snarky stuff and tilt. Like you've seen it in an
yeah,
FGC where dude might mumble someone on the camera, and all of a sudden the next player isn't even playing remotely good.
yeah,
You know what I mean? But we could still deem that as toxic. So it's harassment, griefers, AFKs. Is AFK toxic?
yeah. AFK is toxic because you can get banned for that because you're intentionally setting yourself
running
up
the
to
game.
then cause other people not to be able to win. But in terms of griefers, you talked about harassment and stuff like that. These are also persons that will go inside like a 9-year-old's Minecraft server and intentionally just destroy everything. So you laugh, but then what if they had spent like the past 4 years just building up that place?
Yeah, that's another thing. But out of all the toxicity, I feel like feeders do not get punished enough, because that is also restricting my fun or my competitive aspect because you're not listening. You're being ignorant to the fact that you're feeding. And then now you want to, play the sheep that then you get reported for that, but you're ruining the fun. So they really have to remodify this because people are getting banned who are not supposed to. Because, for example, other than Video Game Donkey, right? He was a funny, hilarious guy.
Yeah.
He got banned, because someone ran down mid, all the way mid, 12 times. And the recording is there, but he got permanently banned because he said unnecessary stuff. Yeah, I understand, right? But there was no punishment on the side of the person who ran down mid. Like, why is that okay
Actually,
to be a feeder?
I think you can report someone like that because if they're intentionally feeding, that is something that you can report.
Yeah, but the punishment is not severe compared to a person who's like talking in the chat.
It depends because like what you say and what you do are two different things. But the like for example, feeding is one thing, but if I then use a racist comment towards someone, which one's worse?
And they switch it to that fast. See, toxicity is those who reject the surrender vote, keeping you tracked in a terrible game. Yo,
I agree, Aiko.
That is so toxic. That because they know they're like throwing, but they want you to be like, hey, you're stuck with me. You're playing this toxic game with me now. You know what I mean? That's the same guy with the first blood with the jungler when I was ganking. I dealt with that. He wanted me to deal with that. So that's another one.
Maurice, what do you do with things like people who falsely report other people though? That's another form of toxicity. You could be like one of the better players inside that match, but then they report you to say that you did X, Y, and Z to try and get you to get into some problems.
I've never heard of a person dealing with that type of situation, just for the sheer fact that at least for league, they have the tribunal. I don't know, I think they probably got rid of it. It's still, it still exists basically. So they have a review board who deals with that. So you can't just get banned because 3 guys vote on you. I'm not sure if that's the same for Overwatch. You know what I mean? There's no way to really for them to play back, or there's a community driven. I mean, they should never allow the community to make votes, because
so here's an example.
Obscured.
Xbox Live. If you get enough reports on you, they will actually segregate you from the rest of the player population.
For which game? Or this is a majority rule type of instance?
This is a majority rule kind of thing. If you get enough reports on you, they will just move you away until they can figure it out. This means it's harder to matchmake because, you're going to be now in with these other harassers and stuff like that. You're in a different section of stuff. PlayStation, if you get enough reports, they're going to maybe take a look into your account and maybe put you on a temporary ban.
That's actually kind of scary, though. I mean, if you're going to get that amount of votes, I understand. But on the flip side, there's actually no way to prevent that, because there's been some instances where people get reported just saying one thing, you know what I mean, like GG easy. If you put that in Overwatch, what does it say? Have a good game, friend, or something like that?
Something like that.
You can get reported for that, like I said, I just feel, why are you gonna have a chat system? Because Heroes of the Storm didn't have a chat system. But see, in a sense, it made it boring. It didn't make it seem like the enemy team was alive, in a sense, because I still feel like you should have the option. Because if you didn't notice, the games that had chat lobbies integrated were the biggest games. You need it. You need that friction. You know what I mean? You can't do that in Heroes. That little thing probably changed the whole community for the game, because every game that I've been in without a chat, it just doesn't peak, or the community isn't driven in any type of way. Because let's be honest, you need the good gamers, you need the toxic gamers for.
Well, I mean, let's take a look at League. You have the ability in the game to talk to both sides. Out of the game, you don't really have that. Heroes, I think you can talk to your own team.
Yeah, you can talk to your own team, but not the enemy.
Right. And so there's still that communication. Though I don't remember if after the game you're able to say something. I don't remember that. It's been a while for Heroes for me.
I missed that game, man.
Overwatch, it's
RIP.
It's mainly just voice for the most part. So I think you can type.
Yeah, you could talk to the enemy team.
Yeah. But for the most part, most people just use it for their own teams.
Which is fine. So at least give people the option to.
Exactly. Now, yes, there are other games where you aren't able to, so on and so forth. But when it comes to talking, there's another thing that I've really noticed, especially this year, is when a game is having either a hard launch or something is going wrong with the game.
Mm-hmm.
They now are harassing the developers. They are spamming places like Steam with bad reviews just because Epic may have gotten the exclusive rights for a particular game.
Mm-hmm.
They now spam Steam with bad reviews and negative scores to try and make the game look bad, to the point where Steam now had to actually implement a system that separates that kind of stuff for a set period of time. Like, as soon as they notice, like, maybe 100, I don't actually know the number, but let's say 100 bad reports come in, they'll take a look and say, oh, okay, well, something's happening here. We're going to, say, block out this next 2 days, and anything that's negative, we're going to put that as maybe an aside thing, so it doesn't affect the actual scores.
Yeah, that's actually a really good plan that they've thought of. Like, I don't know who it is, but in every aspect, of this world, just products, just people complain so much. The only thing that I could agree with that part of the community is that we need more in games. That's all you have. And if you're gonna have microtransactions, at least let it not affect the game.
I agree
what
with
Fortnite
that.
did. That's the best solution to any game. Make it free. You're gonna make money anyway.
Well, I wouldn't say the way how Fortnite's done it, because that's the battle pass system.
Yeah.
But
just
have
the fact that
something essentially where it's not pay to win; it's pay just for cosmetics.
Because
just
back
cosmetics.
In the old PC gaming, there used to be those type of things.
You could buy. You could pay to win.
Oh, you wanted a golden MP5 with no type of recoil? $5.99. Oh, I remember those days.
Yeah.
But now they've strayed away from it.
Yeah, Warframe's a good example. Like a good example of them doing good things.
Yeah, that's actually really, really. People really sleep on that game.
They do.
The community is also really close knit, and I've never heard anything bad about the community ever when it comes to toxicity. They're in the clear. So I would say probably the 3 top most toxic games. Like, you could say yours. I'll say one, and you say one. League. We both agree on League. So we only got 2 more spots.
Call of Duty.
Call of Duty?
Yep.
Yes. Okay. Yes. No lie. The whole competitive, even casual, people are toxic. Okay. League first. COD is definitely second. What is the third? Who gets the trophy?
Hold on. I want to put something as a tie for COD, and that's Counter-Strike.
Oh, trust me. I love when Russians just shout their mark. Just like, hunt for school, and you know what I mean? They're just shouting at you. You don't know what's going on, but you're like, hey, this is pretty cool. They saying the worst stuff in their life. I think, CSGO is tied with COD for sure. But third, I don't think there's a third.
Yeah, it's kind of like peters around. World of Warcraft can be bad in PvP and in raids. What's it? There's Overwatch. You did mention that.
I have to say Overwatch. No lie. Overwatch has gotten really toxic. I give, on my side, Overwatch is number 3.
Yeah, I'm kind of leaning to Overwatch as well. At least for the online games. That's not to say like what happens when you play someone in person, because
and also the voice chats actually make a big difference in toxicity. I feel like the percentage is definitely lower for the sheer fact that you're actually talking to the person. Every time I've invited someone to League in my Discord, I've never had a toxic person, which is kind of strange compared to when you're texting to chat. I mean, like they say, everyone is a gangster over the internet until you talk to them in voice and such. And I feel like people tone it down. So voice chat, I think, is definitely necessary.
I actually disagree.
You disagree?
I disagree. Let's use Call of Duty. Voice chat on Call of Duty is horrible. I said it earlier in the stream. You will have case in point. You have 8 to 12-year-olds screaming profanity, telling you about your backside, saying that they effed your mom, and just going off. And that's just the kids. We're not talking about the adults.
Yeah. But see, when we were teens and we were playing with adults, I felt like that was such a solid time, because that's when people were ass talking for majority of the time. But it was just to rile people up, get excited, bring the competition, let's go. You lose, you sung, I'm the best. You know what I mean? That's all it was. Now people want to wish death upon your whole generations to come. I'm like,
yeah.
Oh.
And like what you were talking about, like how when we were kids, it's like, okay, I just kicked your ass. Try to see if you can beat me, or prove me wrong that I'm the best.
I like that.
That's different.
Right is from nowadays, because everything is too extreme. Like you said with the mom and The mom jokes always are there. And to be honest, the new mom jokes are not as good as the mom jokes back in the
No,
day.
no, no, no. But
Not at all.
what do you think about things like boosting and smurfing?
Hmm.
Are those toxic?
Those are definitely toxic because don't even let me get on League about toxicity with that. It it obscures the view of the players because it distorts the skill level because the
Yep.
people who are actually trying to get up, who are progressively getting better, are shut down by the person who should not be in that elo. So now they got a loss for no reason. It hurts their elo, and now they're pushed down, which makes their adventure even harder. And I feel like Smurfing should be punishable, like one of the highest, because that's really toxic. Like, don't get me wrong, competition is good. You know, when you beat on someone, it also feels really good. But when
Yep.
you're in a different area that you should not be, that is no fun. Like that, I can't go any more on that. That should not be allowed because it's too much of it. It's too much Smurfs in like majority of the games. Because I guess they're so bored or trying so hard, they
Yep.
feel good. You know, oh look at these peasants. I'm such a king. Get out of here. Like just get out. Definitely should be banned. That's another toxic point. So we're at like what? 20 toxic points now?
Aiko was saying that only ranked is really toxic when it comes to smurfing. Draft is more randomized, though. You know, I have to say, like, if you go in things like draft and ARAM and stuff like that, and you're going against these higher players, you're not really expecting to like not be playing against higher players. You're expecting to just be thrown in with everybody. So whether you
Yeah.
lose or you suck, it's the expectation of that. When you're
Draft is
playing,
really solid.
yeah, like when you're in ranked, and you're in the low rank, like Maurice was saying, like you expect a certain level of player, and then you just get your backside handed to you. Like Hearthstone's a
Yeah.
pretty good example. You quite literally have people who used to D rank from legendary, just or like high ranks, just for giggles. You also had them switching between EU and NA servers because they wanted that lower rank to then rank all the way back up.
But excuse me,
Yeah.
that was allowed.
Yeah, that's allowed. You can have different accounts across the different servers. And that's not just for Hearthstone. You can have that across a lot of different games. I think even League of Legends. So,
Yeah, that's League of Legends. Especially, you know, you pay like probably what $10 to move your account to a different server. Probably have like extra 20 ping, and you just stomp on people. Do not go to Korean server. You will lose. Do not go. The bronze are definitely diamond.
um, but yeah, like overall though, things have gotten to the point where if you see that you've done pretty much any of the things that we've stated, you probably have something going on that you need to take a look at. Whether it's external or internal, you have to figure out the reason why you're trying to do that. If
Yeah,
it's
don't forget.
just for giggles though, then that's not really helping anyone. It may be fun here and now, but you're gonna probably take a look back a few years from now and say, "Wow, I was a dick."
Yeah, I feel like toxicity is not going in the right direction. I mean, being toxic is not good at all, but it's getting worse. I feel, as the community gets bigger, I feel like toxicity always existed in the shadows, but now that it's kind of socially acceptable in the gaming realm to be kind of toxic, it like I said, it distorts it again. Because look at Tyler One. Tyler One was banned 9 times for League, and any account that he made was banned.
Yep.
But now, 6 years later, he's hosting worlds in his channel, and
Yep.
League gave him the right to do that.
Yep.
And then XQC is another toxic Overwatch pro player. They dropped him, but they still picked him up because he's good. So
Yep.
it has to start at the head. The community can only do so much. Yeah, Toxic is now
Yeah,
entertaining
it
because, to
is.
be honest, if I want to watch a streamer, I want to watch someone who freaks out. Let's be real.
Yep.
You like the emotion. That's why people like social media. It it, it gives you something that you're normally not used to. You're not gonna listen to the guy who's like, "Hey, what's up? How you doing?
Yep.
Welcome to my stream." You're gonna listen to the person who freak out for like missing a 1 minion.
The guy
And
who
I've
breaks
seen
his
it.
keyboard and throws it across the room.
Oh, trust me, that's why I love watching fighting game community videos. They're the best. Salt, I love it. Just put it in the wounds.
But
But mhm.
there's something I want to ask you. Have you? I know I mentioned it earlier on, but you're a person of color. Have you experienced racism in these games?
To be honest, I don't experience racism as much as people think. I feel like a lot of people who I meet, I can't even count on one hand the amount of like probably once or twice in my life, and I've been gaming for years, like years on years, and a lot on League, and people on never said any racist. And when they learn you're from the Bahamas, they're like, "Huh? I people from the islands play League?" And I'm like, "Yeah." Whoa, you're cool, man. And it makes you feel really happy, when people from different places in the world, they're just like, whoa, you're from the islands and playing games? You're already in high ranks in my book. So I've never had a problem with racism online, Oh, probably 3 times because 2 was from Overwatch for sure. They got banned for that. But to be honest, people ain't generally racist. I just really feel it like racism is overhyped. Um, Anybody got time for that, to be honest,
Well,
Um,
see,
Generally, the only things that I have a problem with is people views extremely obscured because of what they think. Like for example, like you're feeding, but you're the best player on the team. How? But other
yeah.
than that, yeah, man, I feel like the gaming community is solid. It's just a lot of toxicity is bringing it to the light, so it feels like, whoa, what is going on? But I felt like it was always there. It just is becoming so socially acceptable. And how I say it, you need 2 sides to make a coin. So you need the heads and tails. So toxicity is probably here to stay and probably gonna get worse.
Well, that's kind of what I find interesting. You have not really experienced it. While I myself have not really experienced it, I've seen it happen more times than I would actually like to count. Where people would
Wow.
say that the N word with the ER at the end of it,
Mm-hmm.
um, and or just some derivative version of it like nibba or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and that's their circumventing, like their way around not being caught by the chat filters and stuff like that.
Yeah, and try to be dominant in this particular area because probably they're in real life they're pretty feeble. They don't have no one that loves them because no one is going to go out of their way to go on the internet. No, I lied. Never mind. 4chan exists. I'm sorry.
4chan is
My
the
bad.
thing, yeah.
Oh yeah, the underbelly of the internet. Okay, so I take that back. Um,
But yeah, so it. I say that to say, just because we're saying things that happen doesn't mean that you may experience them. And even if you do, there are ways to not experience them. Like I mentioned earlier, you can block someone, you can ban them so you don't have to play with them again, you can report them. And there are games that actually suggest doing both blocking and reporting them so that if it's that bad, that they can actually just get rid of the account and stop that person from playing. I've quite literally seen people on forums say, "Why is my account banned?" And then the administrator or mod or whatever it is comes in and says, "Well, we actually have reports that you were doing something that you shouldn't be doing. You said, like, you're saying you didn't do anything wrong, but we have chat logs here of at least 10 times where you did it, along with like 20 different reports. So no, you're not getting unbanned." And then the community completely turns on that person.
Okay. So this is an interesting question, and this is also for myself. You've been toxic before, right? Or wrong?
I'm trying to remember. I think I have.
At your lowest point. Let's hear it. Let's hear it, Mr. Cookies.
At my lowest point, I think I have left a game back when I was younger, like back in the arcade times. Because I was losing. And I stepped away for a bit, and my cam's not working.
Just put a Facebook picture there. You know what I mean? Just like draw a little like version of you and just push in there.
Give me one quick sec.
But I have to say, it's amazing on how far we've come with like personalities, you know, just popping out of nowhere, just in streaming itself. I love it, but I just want to see more diversity, even if it is toxic or not. You know, I want the competitive talk come back. We really need that to come back. I miss that. You know what I mean? I miss two people just going at it. You know, no harm or wishing, you know, all of that other stuff. Just straight on competitive talk. And that's what I used to. That's what we grew up on.
Yeah. That's what we need.
Yeah,
I did fix my
cam.
cam.
We need that to come back. We need to come back where you could talk smart to each other and not wishing harm or, you know what I mean? Like, just full-blown competitiveness. Because I'm a competitive guy, so that's what I'm yearning for, and I can't have it because everyone is just toxic. I'm slightly toxic, probably by 0.5%.
Say 0.5.
Because I'm a support player. A support player can't be toxic. That does not work. Then you just be mad at everyone every day, every time, every game.
I think more recently, the worst I've done is blame the game for something, but that's only typically when I actually genuinely feel like something was off. Though I can see where people would see it being like, oh, he's just like saying that kind of thing. But okay, let's use Friday last Friday as an example. I went to the Mortal Kombat thing that was supposed to be happening, and I was doing warm-ups. And someone was playing a particular character that was just stomping me from one side to the next. And I was trying to block. I was like trying to get away, block, whatever I could. It would not even let me get up in time. And you had someone there saying, you need to block, you need to block. And I'm like, I'm trying to block. The game, it's not letting me block. And I got upset. And I was about to tell them about their backside. I'm like, hold on, wait. Instead of that, here, you try it. See what happens with you. See how well you do. They got their backside stomped on as well. They then said, well, it's the input control time. Because apparently it was set to long. I didn't know anything about that because I don't really play Mortal Kombat. I haven't played it since I was probably like 7 years old.
Yeah, I like this new MK. I'm probably gonna get into it and train. Gonna be training with two of our players, so they're gonna beat me every day. I don't know why. They won't beat me all the time. I don't know what I do to these people, but that whole part where you got extremely tilted, that isn't. I wouldn't call that toxic. I just say frustration more than anything. People just blow frustration into toxicity. There's like this energy going in here. Someone gonna get it. Toxicity, I feel, is towards everything around you. Being frustrated is just within.
Yep.
Hey, quote. Tagged live. That's my quote. Don't take it, please. And then don't forget, I got another quote. Life is a RPG, so live it custom. Quote by Chill. Don't take that either. I'm going to find you and be toxic.
Wow. I think on that note, folks, we're going to end today's stream. We are just a little bit over our scheduled time. So If you missed any part of this episode of Esports Wrap, don't forget we have this up. We'll have it up shortly, and we typically have them up shortly after we go live, generally about 24 hours or so because of Twitch's guidelines. But you can go and listen to any of our past episodes over at moarcookies.com, which is MOAR cookies.com. We also have our podcast that you can listen to. That's pretty much everywhere. I still did not do that this weekend. I'm going to be trying to do that this week to put it on SoundCloud. But it's pretty much everywhere else, including Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify, Stitcher, Pocket Casts, so on and so forth. And if you want to just watch the video versions, well, both audio and visual are on our website. If you want to be a part of any of our conversations, hit us up over at Twitter at MOAR_cookies. And also feel free to join our Discord. The link for that is below the videos, unless you're on something like Facebook or Periscope and watching this. And until next time, I'd like to thank everyone for stopping in. I'd like to also thank my guest, Maurice, for stopping in and being a part of the conversation. And
Thank you. Children from Black Nebula, signing out.
Until next time, guys, keep it savvy.